Hey guys, welcome back. Today I'm going to be showing you guys how to write bubble sort in Java. So let's get started. So what is bubble sort? Bubble sort is just a simple sorting algorithm that just sorts a list of anything. So we're going to be sorting a list of numbers today. So to understand bubble sort, we're going to be going to this website. I'm going to have the link in the description. So we're going to put in some numbers first and we're going to be sorting them. So this number set that I put here, you guys can see it's not sorted. If it was sorted, it would go least to greatest. So we're going to start sorting it with this website so you can visualize it better. You guys should ignore the code below because it's not Java. To do bubble sort, we're first going to start at 0 and we're going to go through each element in the array. We're going to take the first two elements first and compare them. We're going to check if the first one is greater than the second one, because if it is, then we're going to have to swap them. So 5 is greater than 3, so we're going to swap them. And now we're going to check 5 and 8. So when we check 5 and 8, we're going to see that 8 is already greater than 5, so we shouldn't do anything. So we're going to move on to the next one. 8 is greater than 4, so we're going to swap them obviously. And then we're going to go check the next one, and 8 is obviously greater than 2. We're going to swap it, and we're done with 8. That's one element in our array that we're now completely done with. And now we're going to go back to the start at 0 and 1, these indexes. So the numbers 3 and 5, and we're going to check them. 3 is less than 5, so this is good. 4 is less than 5, right? So if the first one is greater than the second one, we have to swap. Since the first one is greater here, we're going to swap, and now we're going to check the next one. We're going to swap, and 5 is done. And now we're going to do that over and over again for each number until it's completely sorted. Now let's write the Java code for this. Okay, so I've opened up a new Java project and I've imported java.util.arrays up here so we can print it out easier. We're going to start off with a simple array, the same one that we used in our example, and we're going to print it out like this. You guys might not be familiar with arrays.toString and then putting your array in here. All this will do is just print it out. So if we try running our code now, you'll see it just prints it out nicely. Now let's create a method to sort our array. Since arrays are objects, we can just pass in an array and sort it, and that should change its values. So let's add that now to our main method. So we're going to sort with the bubble sort method like this, and we're going to put in our array, and that should sort it, and then we're going to print it out like this. Now don't run this right now because it won't do anything because we haven't actually added any code yet for our algorithm. The next step, guys, is we're going to create an int variable n, which we're going to set to our array's length. This is just so we can easily access it in our algorithm's code. The next step is we're going to write a for loop, which is just going to go through our array n minus 1 times. Remember, n is array.length, which is our size, and our size here is 5 because we have 5 numbers, and we're going to go through it 5 minus 1, which is 4 times. The reason being we have to compare this, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, and that's 4. So we're going to go through it n minus 1 times so we can sort the whole array. The next step is we're going to create our inner loop now for comparing each two elements. So our first loop right here was so we can go through the whole list, right? This next loop right here, all we're going to do is every time we get to it, we're going to start at 0 and we're going to start comparing each two until we reach the end or we reach the last element that we already sorted. That's why we have n minus I minus 1. So n minus 1 is obviously there because we have to do it 4 times like over here, and the minus I is here so we don't try sorting values that have already been sorted. The last step for this code, guys, is we're going to have to swap the value of the first element and the second element if the first element is greater than the second element, because we're sorting this from least to greatest. So we're going to write an if statement where we check our 0. If we start at 0, then j is equal to 0, and if we're checking if it's greater than j plus 1, and these are indexes, by the way, so this will check like the first and then the second, for example. So if we have 0 here, this would be the 0th index, right? And this is 0 plus 1, which is 1. So we would check these first two, for example. And then this code inside is pretty simple. All we're doing is creating a temp variable where we store the value of the first element, then we set that first element to the second element, then we set the second element to the temp variable. The reason why we have to do this is because when we set our array element right here to the second one, now we've lost that value. So we have to save it beforehand in a temp variable. And that's all we have to do, guys. Now if we run our code, you'll see we're going to get our unsorted array, and then we're going to get our sorted array. Alright, adios.